When people think about electric vehicles, they picture silent motors, giant batteries, and futuristic dashboards. They don't picture oil tankers. But here's the twist. A war thousands of miles away in the Middle East can shake the global EV industry like a loose bolt on a suspension bridge. Let's break down how conflict in one region sends shockwaves through EV production and shipping worldwide. About 20% of the world's oil moves through one narrow corridor, the Strait of Hormuz. When tensions rise there, shipping costs don't just increase, they skyrocket. Now you might think, EVs don't use oil. Why does that matter? Because the global shipping industry runs largely on fuel derived from oil. When fuel prices rise, container shipping costs rise, insurance premiums rise, delivery times increase. That means EVs built in China, Europe, or the US suddenly become more expensive to move around the world. And delays? They multiply like traffic in rush hour. China is the world's largest EV producer. Companies like BYD, NIO, XPeng export heavily to the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. Many shipments move through key Gulf ports, such as Jebel Ali Port. When regional instability increases, shipping routes may be diverted. Ports may operate cautiously. Insurance costs for vessels rise. Result? Cars pile up at factories. Delivery schedules stretch. Cash flow slows. Production lines may not stop completely, but companies often adjust output to avoid oversupply. Factories hate inventory sitting still. It's like building a fleet of cars with nowhere to park them. The Middle East conflict also influences global energy prices. Higher oil prices can do two opposite things for EVs. 1. Make gasoline cars more expensive to operate, which encourages EV demand. 2. Increase manufacturing and logistics costs, squeezing EV profit margins. There's also the market psychology factor. When global uncertainty rises, consumers delay big purchases, investors become cautious, commodity markets react. Lithium prices often swing wildly during geopolitical tension. That affects battery manufacturers and long-term production planning. EV production is like an orchestra. When one instrument plays off-tempo, the whole symphony adjusts. If certain Middle Eastern routes become unsafe, ships may avoid them entirely. Instead of using the fastest corridor, vessels may reroute around Africa. That adds 10 to 14 extra days of travel, higher fuel consumption, increased freight costs. For automakers, time equals money. Dealerships waiting for inventory feel the pressure. Customers waiting for delivery feel frustration. Manufacturers recalculate forecasts. The global supply chain doesn't collapse, it stretches. And when stretched too far, it gets expensive. EV factories in China, Europe, and North America don't shut down directly because of the Middle East conflict, but production planning changes. Companies may slow export-focused production, redirect vehicles to other markets, adjust pricing strategies, delay expansion investments. It's less like flipping a switch off and more like carefully turning a volume knob down. Here's the fascinating part. EVs were designed to reduce reliance on oil. Yet global oil routes still affect them. Not because EVs need gasoline, but because global trade still runs on fossil-fueled ships, insurance markets, and interconnected supply chains. The EV revolution may be electric, but the road it drives on, still deeply wired into the old energy world. So does the Middle East war stop EV production? Not directly, but it affects shipping costs, delivery timelines, export markets, battery material pricing, consumer demand. In a global economy, nothing moves in isolation. A conflict in one narrow strait can ripple all the way to the EV sitting in your driveway. And that's the hidden circuitry of globalization.